Thank you for coming on to Varsity House Podcast. And if you don't know who this is Father John Jenkins, 17th president for the University of Notre Dame. Formerly before, even coming to Notre Dame, prom king. I don't think people knew that. Prom king and swim captain from, Creighton Preparatory. So always was a well-liked guy, huh?
You did research, Sean. I didn't know you knew that, but it's great to be with you. It's great to have you back on campus and see you again.
Being connected to Notre Dame for so long, you obviously were a student here as well, and then now, the president of the university. Just kind of talk about your upbringing, talk about your journey that led you to this position.
Good. Well, I had a great experience at Notre Dame. I was here in the 70s, a long time ago. But it was a great experience, and I enjoyed my time here. At the end of my undergraduate degree, like many Notre Dame students, I wasn't sure what I was going to do. So that led to some reflection and thought. And I was always a person of faith and called to do ministry, and so I became a priest. But at the same time, I was always interested in education and learning. That was sort of a passion of mine. So I went on for further studies. And I was fortunate to be able to come back here and be on the faculty. I taught philosophy. And then I was happy doing that, and that would have been fine. But, one thing leads to another. As I tell our students, it's hard to plan out your life. Things just come up and you do them, and that was my story. And so I had some leadership roles, and one thing led to another, and to my surprise, really, I didn't expect it. I became president of Notre Dame, and it's just been a great privilege and to be part of this institution and the wonderful people that are part of it. So that's a very condensed version.
Yeah,
that's my story.
I'm sure. Now, was there, during your time here, was there an experience that you always point back to, or that you can point back to, that led you to want to, take this career path?
Yeah. I think, Sean, for me, it was very much kind of come in terms of faith. And really, there wasn't a single instance, but it was throughout, I think it was instilled in me by being part of Notre Dame. What's the bigger purpose of my life? What's the why that's just beyond, narrow things like I want a big salary or something. And that really was what led me to this life, just to want to do something with my life that's meaningful beyond kind of just my own selfish interest. And so that's how I got here, really. And it wasn't one thing, but it was a number of classes and people I met and just reflecting on my life that led me here.
Now, coming from, Omaha, Nebraska, kind of some ways from South Bend, Indiana, what was it for you that when you made the decision to go to Notre Dame, and why did you think that was the right choice?
Yeah, it was. I actually had an older brother who went here, but for it was just it had a great reputation in my hometown, and a lot of people went here, and so I don't know if it was really more complicated than that, but I know it was a place of faith as well as a place, a great university. So that kind of fit me in what I was interested in.
Mm-hmm. And now, we all know, and of course, me being a former student athlete here, football player here, we'll definitely talk about sports at some point, but, there's been a lot of change and advancement, whether it be in technology, society, or just, culture around Notre Dame. But in terms of, education, I think this is probably one of the few times now with the introduction of AI that there may be advancement in education. And so, are you familiar with Cactus AI at all?
Not too much, but I'm familiar with AI, and I could talk generally. It's a double-edged sword, isn't it? I mean, in one hand, I think technological advancements, are so powerful, and they help us to learn things more and do things more quickly, and they're great in that way. There's a dark side to them too. I think we find that with social media. There's a lot of negativity on social media. We find that with, people being addicted to games or to kind of their screens or whatever. That's not healthy. And so I think the challenge for AI is how do we serve the good purposes of education, but avoid the downfalls that are negative, we rely on it too much or rely on it in ways that doesn't help us grow and learn and be better people. And so we're still, it's so new, we're kind of thinking about it, but I think that's the challenge, avoid the downside and kind of emphasize the positive aspects.
Has it played a role at all in Notre Dame's education field, to your knowledge at all? Or
well, I think individuals use it. I don't think it's extensive. I think mostly people are trying to just think about what role it can play, what positive role. Probably our students are more adept at it than many of our faculty, our students are kind of more adept technologically sometimes. And so, but I think we're thinking about it, but I don't think it's had a really broad impact.
Yeah, because I think sooner or later it's going to be one of those, things that you kind of just have to control and find ways that it can, or that a university can use it to leverage their students, in a beneficial way. And so have you, I know it's still pretty early, but have you and your, staff thought about different ways that it may enhance or improve, students' well-being?
Yeah, I know there are 2 committees working on this.
Okay.
And one is asking, the obvious problems about, academic integrity and, people using it to give work that's not their own. But the other is talking about the positive impact, how this can serve our students. And I know people are thinking deeply about it, but I don't think we have any answers yet.
And now even, with the advancement of, AI and things like that as far as education, there's also been, NIL introduced, name, image, and likeness introduced to the world of college sports, college athletics. And so Brandon Wimbush created Mogul, which is obviously an NIL platform that connects brands to players and things like that. How have you seen, being at the head of a university, how have you seen the positive, impact on NIL so far?
Well, we have been, Jack Swarbrick and I have been advocates for allowing student athletes to use their name, image, and likeness for their own, for whatever that way they want. Just because other students were able to do the same, and so I'm for that. And I know Brandon's company is great example, and I know there are others that are positive. The downside is that I think people, so some groups are using it simply as a way to entice students to come to their school or to keep them at their school, and I don't think that's positive, because it makes it less about kind of actually using your name, image, and likeness, and more about how to funnel money to people. And that I worry about that in the long run, because I understand, I want the best for young people, but if college athletics is just simply about how much money you can throw at a kid in high school, it just won't have a good future.
And so how, talking about it now, how has Notre Dame, because I always look at, Notre Dame trying to do the things the right way. And even though maybe some others, others may not, but how has Notre Dame been able to evolve and accept, these changes in a world right now where it's out of control? No one has a grasp on it right now, but how have they been able to, or how have you been able to positively, use it and provide it for your student athletes?
Well, we're aware of the competitive environment, so we want something that will provide an opportunity for young people. And so what we have, and I commend a few people who have created something called the Fund, Friends of Notre Dame, and they provide funds for charitable institutions for student athletes to use their name, image, and likeness to serve charitable institutions, and they'll get reimbursed for that through this fund. And I think that's a good thing, and always we're very careful that there's actually transactions that the young people actually have to do something. They have to come, or they have to be present in an event or something. So it's not just, kind of funneling money dishonestly. So I think that's one way we've tried to do it. But, the greatest thing we can offer a young person like yourself, you've graduated, is a Notre Dame degree. I mean, the money you can earn from NIL, from the great majority of people, I mean, if you make it in the NFL, that's maybe different, but great majority, it's going to just be a few years. And then what are you going to have after that? What you're going to have at Notre Dame is a great degree that you can use to make a living. And you're a good example of that. You got 2 degrees from Notre Dame, and that's what we want to give our students. So we don't want to be a place where people come for easy money. We want to be a place where people can, if they want to earn money, great. If not, fine. But mainly can get an education and then be set up for life.
You talked about the degree, and honestly, I never used LinkedIn while I was a student here, but it's one of my favorite tools now because I just go in the search bar and type Notre Dame, and there's someone in every single industry, and even luckily at the top of that industry. And so I've been able just to connect, very well with the Notre Dame alumni base. And talking about the alumni base, touch on just the importance and the role that they have in the current students, keeping this university going forward. Just talk about the roles that the alumni may have.
What we're proud of at Notre Dame is that, the people, if they come to Notre Dame, they feel a sense of kind of connection with everybody, and it's a kind of special connection. And so I've always found, and everybody says, whether you're a student athlete or not, that it's a network that people will help you, people will give you advice, people will provide an opportunity for you. And that's one of the great things about the institution. Again, whether you're a student athlete or not, and that's something that we're proud of, and it's a wonderful thing about the school. We always want to keep that spirit going. So that you've experienced it, but so many other people have too. And it's just a way of in a way, giving forward. You've received something, help the next person coming along, and that's a great spirit of Notre Dame. And it's one of the things that I think sets us apart.
I think something our viewers may be interested in, and also current students here and graduates. What dorm were you in?
No, I was in Grace Hall, which is no longer a dorm. We turned it into an office building. It's the big tower out there. So,
the Grace Hall wraps.
Yeah.
They got the best little, chicken wraps.
Yeah, there you go. Well, it used to be where I lived, and it was great. It had air conditioning where none of the other dorms did, so that was good. Okay. But it's no longer a undergraduate dorm, though.
Mm-hmm. And then favorite location on campus when you were a student, and then also now.
Well, I'd have to say, I don't know. There are so many, but I'd say my favorite location, probably then and now, is just, between the grotto and the lake, where you can look out on the lake, and it's just a peaceful view, particularly at sunset. It's gorgeous, and particularly in the spring and in the fall, it's just a beautiful place. So, and it's peaceful. There's a certain peace about it as you look out over the lake that always has been something I've loved.
Mm-hmm. And a personal question that I have is, probably one of your hardest jobs is the balance of, the academic excellence, but then also the athletics and the standard that, some fans, some supporters may have, for the athletics. How do you balance that, being the president of University of Notre Dame?
It's a challenge. It's a special challenge at Notre Dame. And the thing I love about, among things that our coach Marcus Freeman says is, choose Notre Dame is choose hard. It's not easy. It's not easy because you have challenging classes and you have to meet high standards on the football field or any other athletic field, and that's hard. Better than anyone, and those demands are tough. But that's what makes us special. That we want to win a national championship in football or other sports. And we're a great academic institution. So the young person who comes to Notre Dame is going to want to, that they're going to want a challenge. And the best thing about it is that we attract people who want that challenge, and are people who, want the best of both worlds. And so it's hard, and it would be easier in the short run if we, gave up one or the other. But the special calling, and I think people see us this way, that we have a special place because we kind of have a commitment to academic standards and a commitment to excellence in athletics. And every day there are challenges, but that's why it's interesting. That's why it's important.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go on a small rant, but you talk about the challenges of Notre Dame, and even when looking at, universities, for me coming out of high school, it was, Notre Dame had a great education. And then also another bonus was the football team played on TV every single weekend. So I would I would be seen by family and friends, play at the top, at the highest level in college football, but also know that I'll be getting a great education. And with two parents in education, it was a no-brainer. And so you talk about the challenges, and you realize that there will be challenges. But I feel like this is just my personal story. But I feel like for every student that comes here, you really. It doesn't hit you until, I guess, you face a challenge. And, in my personal athletic career, I had 3 season-ending injuries. And so I remember I had an ACL freshman year and then came back the next year, played in a game sophomore year and got hurt again. And it was my Achilles. And at that point, I thought, I don't know if Notre Dame, is the right choice, because when I chose Notre Dame, it was always the two sides. It was, the great academics and playing at the highest level of football, and kind of took one of those away, and I was sort of just stuck, being here, and maybe just kind of felt like out of place being just a student athlete, but the athlete part was gone. And so I maybe didn't feel like I could compete in the classroom enough or just be a student here. And so throughout my time, just throughout that semester, I've, talked to people close to me, and it was a thought that maybe I would, transfer and go somewhere else. But just the relationships, and I talked to previous off camera, was switching to design and being able just to find, a career path, or just, a major that I enjoyed, that I love going to. And I think that's just what Notre Dame is about. There's many different people from all walks of life, around the world, and being able to connect with guys immediately in your dorm room or girls in your dorm room is very special. And so just during those times, I had to rely heavily on, classmates, rely heavily on dorm mates, and kind of step away and just realize, like, I chose Notre Dame because I wanted a challenge. I chose Notre Dame because I wanted to take advantage of the, the academic curriculum. And so I just wanted to say that little spiel, just because it's funny when you talk about a challenge, because I feel like I experienced it firsthand, and going through those challenges, getting through those, I've finished with 2 degrees and was captain of the football team, and it was very special. And to now look back and now be, interviewing you, I think it was all worth it at the end of the day. I think I made the right choice to toughen it out and to be strong. But
I'd say the reason when you asked me to do this, the reason I did, I probably would have said yes to others, but I said yes to you because I just remember that all you had to go through, those disappointments, but you persevered. And frankly, I think you played football at the highest level, academics at the highest level. That's really tough. But you had adversity and you kept going, and that's why you're a captain, I think. And then I think the other thing is, whatever you do in life, there's nothing life can throw at you that you can't handle, because you went through those things. And you talk about education, that's probably the best education you got, only because you were the guy who were able to meet the challenges.
And quickly, before we get off, I do want to talk about just the cultural advancements that Notre Dame has made, and obviously with the recent hirings of, minority coaches, head coaches in leadership positions. How much do you think, that speaks volume to just people outside of Notre Dame community, to, obviously to society today, to the world today?
Well, it's something we're proud of, and we want to continue. We hired those coaches because they were the best. We didn't hire them because they were this, but it's great that they are people of color, because they represent and help us to be better. We know we have a long way to go to be ever more an inclusive community, but we'll keep at it, and they will help us. They'll call us to something better, and someone like you'll be part of this Notre Dame community. You'll call us to something better too. You're never there. It's always a journey. It's always a journey, and you're always trying to get better. And the people like you who come through Notre Dame, you leave, but you don't. You leave a mark, and you've left a mark, Sean. And we'll try to make the next generation even better. But I'm grateful to you and proud of you, proud to call you a Notre Dame graduate because of all you left this place and all you've done here.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, with graduation right ahead, if there was, words of encouragement that you would want to send to the students that are going to transition, on from Notre Dame, some knowing what they want to do, some not knowing what they want to do, just, looking for help, any words of encouragement you have for them?
You got a great education, I tell them. You have great friends, and you'll have challenges. We all do in life, but you have what you need in yourself to meet those challenges, and just be confident in yourself. And life's full of surprises and life's full of opportunities. Just deal with the surprises and seize the opportunities.
Well, I thank you for your time. It was amazing.
John, really appreciate talking to you. God bless you.
It was great. Thank you for your time. I know you're busy.